Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by a very happy Ralph Schrager up in Boston, Massachusetts, who witnessed the game in a Jet bar right near the Boston Garden. And we're going to be joined, if we're lucky, by Ray Clifford, who is returning home from his Jets bar in the middle of Ohio. Ralph, take that last swig and tell me, how do you feel?
Well, Marty, I'm never totally satisfied. I thought the Jets played a great game. Defensively, is about as clean a game as you can play in the NFL. But I'm still concerned about the offense, about Wilson and LaFleur. Hopefully that will change, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, and the Jets won 27-10. Their record now is a astounding 4-2.
Did you see that stat that Rich Cimini put out? They're the first team in 20 years to have 4 wins in your first 6 games and be the underdog in every game.
Right, I saw that. Yeah, I did see that. And they go to Denver next week, Ralph, just so you know, it's a 4:00 game.
The house of horrors for the Jets.
Yeah, but I just want to make a couple of comments because this game, and one thing, and I said it last week, you got to love about the Jets. It seems like they play some of the best ball in the fourth quarter, which is really refreshing. And the first half we saw some of the ugliest football you ever want to see on offense. Thank God for Quinnen Williams. And a couple of years ago, actually, Ralph and I would debate a couple of players, Quinnen Williams and the player
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver, who the
Bills
have. But now I just don't even think it's close. I mean,
no, it's not.
Besides Quinnen Williams, his brother Quincy Williams was just outstanding today, and he just came back from an injury. But I also want to mention, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where the scales of justice tip in the Jets' way or become fair, but the refereeing in the NFL is so awful. The first half, I was just going bananas watching this. I still don't know what that penalty was on the Jets sideline.
Bench, yeah.
On the bench. There was another no call where Breece Hall was hit like 2 yards out of bounds. And the guy put his hand on his pocket, but nothing happened.
The referee was looking at that. He was 5 feet away. I was just unbelievable. I mean, yeah, he didn't hurt him that badly, but come on, that's a penalty in this league.
It's just incredible. And an obvious call at the beginning of the game where there was a tip ball and Sauce Gardner went in for a pick 6. They called it a touchdown. It wasn't, but once in a while, I'd like to get those calls. We missed a call like that a couple of weeks ago when the guy was like inbounds and they called him out of bounds. And it just seems like I want things to even out. And I always
they did. Packers did get called a lot in the second half.
They did the second half, I think, because they were getting frustrated. But listen, make no mistake. This game was about the defense. It was about the defensive line
and the special teams.
Special teams. Our secondary, they made a couple of mistakes. There was a lousy penalty, but Sauce Gardner, who I've been on as far as his tackling, I mean, he was just outstanding today.
Great.
And C.J. Mosley had a couple of bad plays, but even he played pretty
well.
Quincy
and Quan Alexander
made the play of the game on the fourth.
He did. He wasn't. I like to see him on the field more.
Yes.
Even with Quincy Williams there, I love Quincy Williams, but Quan Alexander is a playmaker, and I want to see him more too.
He is. And Ralph, our guy actually, he was on the screen. Jacob Martin was pretty aggressive on a couple of plays, and the guy who we didn't want that to activate, Curry, made 2 nice plays, one of which he wasn't touched. So it was a great Jets victory in Lambeau Field, and they just lost to the Giants in England. And you know, it's funny, Ralph, you know what, I brought back memories years ago, and a lot of our younger Jets Rewind fans might not remember this, or maybe they weren't born, when the Jets that year, they went into Cincinnati and they beat the heck out of the Cincinnati Bengals in that playoff game. Darrell Ray, remember that? And I was watching it with you, and you turned to me and you said, Marty, you know what's winning this game? I go, what? You said, Gastineau was hitting, and now who was the quarterback? Was it Anderson?
Yeah.
Anderson on every play, and it's really getting to him. And the Jets were doing the same thing to Aaron Rodgers today, because every time they knocked him down, he would be coming up, and on his throwing hand, he'd be doing this. We know he has a bad thumb, but it was just, it was just such a good victory. The defense was great. And I just, we have a few complaints. I don't want to get into it now. I don't want to be a negative Nancy. We want to look at the thing half full. So, Ralph, let me have your comments too, and then we'll get into some of the scoring of what you remember more.
As far as the defensive line, last week, I think the stars were the ends, Lawson and Franklin Myers. This week was the tackles, because Rankins was also came up big. Where was Vinny Curry playing? Was he playing at an end in those positions, or was he inside? I couldn't tell.
When he came in untouched, I think he came like an inside linebacker.
Yeah. And of course, Quinnen Williams, Marty's favorite player, who is becoming certainly a Pro Bowler this year, and maybe he'll be All Pro. But it was the whole defense played great. Like I said to Marty before the show, it's about as clean a game as you can play in the NFL, because the other team's going to move the ball. I think the only rough play was the Brandon Echols touchdown pass. I feel bad for Echols. He kind of got thrown in there. If Gardner was in there, it probably wouldn't have happened. Our rookies, today it was Michael Clemens. Oh my God, 2 block kicks. That guy is just an animal, and I just love the guy. And Gardner was great too today. And of course, Breece Hall. We'll talk about the receivers later, but
Ralph, I just want to say, if you look closely, Clemens didn't block the field goal. His hand was there though, but it was Quinnen Williams.
Was it? Boy, yeah. I watched it 3 times. I could have sworn it was Clemens.
Because you were in a bar in downtown Boston, so you couldn't hear the sound. It looked like it was, but then they showed it, and the announcer said, "Look, they both have the hands right there, but Quinnen Williams blocked it."
Wow, I got to watch that again, because I think he was higher than Quinnen Williams, but I must have gone to Quinnen Williams.
He was, yeah. But it was just, it was truly outstanding. And I said on Jets Rewind Plus, which I'm going to give some information on that later, because I had a lot of notes from people who want to know where it is, that I wasn't going to say it on Saturday, but I said if the Jets beat Green Bay, it changes the whole season. Now we're going into Denver, which is another winnable game. Now, this is our second game on the road, and if by some chance we beat Denver, we come back home against the Bill Belichick's Patriots, which is going to be
suddenly a good team now. They're playing pretty well. So, I thought, we got 2 games in New England in the next 4 or 5. We're going to win at least one. Well, at this point, I'm thinking we'll probably split, because Belichick's doing a great job with them, with a 3rd-string quarterback, a 4th-round pick from Western Kentucky, who's small. He doesn't have a great arm. And he threw for 300 yards today and 3 touchdown passes. And it makes me crazy when I see what our passing game is like. But
what happens with Mac Wilson?
Very interesting. Mac Jones. When I was talking to a friend of mine who was a Patriots fan last night, and he said Mac Jones will get the job. And I said, you're right. And after today, it's like, if he gets the job, he's got a lot of pressure on him, because if he doesn't play well, there's going to be a problem.
Right. It should be a lot of fun in a couple of weeks. But back to the Jets. Back to the Jets, Ralph. We scored first on a field goal, and then they scored on a field goal. And I want to ask you, do you think that Salah left too much time on the clock? He could have played a little bit better at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, a lot of guys around me were saying they hate his clock management. And I think it's too early to decide whether he's good or bad at it. But yeah, I thought we left a little too much time on there. I can't remember, but I thought there were some poor play calls. I thought he should have been a little more aggressive. But then, again, I think their whole offense should have been more aggressive in the first half. It was driving me crazy. And even in the third quarter, these first down handoffs up the middle, I am so sick of them. He's got to come up with other stuff. It's just not working.
It does. And you had mentioned play action. I actually mentioned that on Jets Rewind Plus too. But we ended up going into the locker room was 3-3. But there was a play, Ralph, I want to ask you. I don't know if you were able to capture what was going on, but right when I started thinking that, Aaron Rodgers, he's not the same. That thumb is really bothering him. He throws a dime to Lazard down the left sideline.
Right.
But if you looked at it close, I'm not sure that was a reception.
Yeah, it looked like the ball was hitting the ground when he when he fell down. Yeah, I agree. They should have challenged that.
They should have challenged that. That was a mistake by Saleh and the staff. And look, give the other LaFleur, Matt LaFleur credit. He and Rodgers, they went up to the line. They ran a play right away. So they knew what was going on. But they ended up, it was like 3-3. And Ralph.
That was near the end of the first half. If he had lost a timeout, it was not a big deal. Yeah.
Right. I think it was more the middle of the second quarter. But the fact was he didn't use a timeout.
Yeah.
It was such a no-lose situation the way it was. I mean, he should have done that. But, Ralph, what were your feelings about watching that inept offense in the first half, about Zach Wilson and the whole offense? And Ralph, I'm going nuts. I'm saying, why can't our receivers get separation?
Here's the question, Marty. And I sent a text to you and Ray. I said, who's really the culprit here? Is it Wilson? Is it LaFleur? Or is it these receivers who can't get any separation? And I don't really know the answer. Probably it's a little of everything. Wilson, in the pocket, he just overthinks and he can't pull the trigger. And part of that's probably because the receivers are not open. Are they not open because LaFleur doesn't have, good routes to run? I don't know what the hell is going on. But come on, there's got to be some open receivers sometimes.
Ralph, we weren't fans of Joe Flacco at all. And everyone, I'm crazy about this Garrett Wilson, but to me, it's obvious that even though I didn't like him, there was some sort of chemistry with Joe Flacco and Garrett Wilson that hasn't transitioned to Zach Wilson. Do you agree with that?
To a degree. I mean, another thing is that in the first half, he didn't have very many clean pockets. I mean, even on first down, it was not good as far as the offensive line goes. I just think it was a little of everything, and they got a lot of cleaning up to do because they're not going to, I mean, this football is a team sport. I mean, people think you don't have a quarterback, you don't have they won this game without basically anything from Zach Wilson, but they can't do it every game. Some games they're going to need him. And like I said, I don't know if it's LaFleur, I don't know if it's the receivers or the offensive line or Wilson. It's probably a little of all, but it's a long season. Hopefully it'll get better. But, I look around the league and all these passers who have very little experience are putting up good numbers. There's no reason why they shouldn't also. They have plenty of talent.
Right. And except in the second half for Corey Davis, he was a lot more comfortable throwing, like, I think 3 passes to 2 different tight ends.
Yeah.
Which worked.
All right. They came up with some different stuff, and it was good. But
Elijah Moore didn't have a catch today, Ralph.
I didn't even see him throw to him.
No, I don't think he did. Yeah. I don't think he threw to him.
He's in that pocket. It's falling apart, and sometimes I feel like he's just gotta make a throw. If throw it either low to a guy and either he gets it or it's an incomplete pass. I think he holds on to the ball too long.
He does that, but it drives me crazy. You watch these other teams, and the quarterback winds up to throw long, and then it turns out it's a back shoulder pass, and it's like done perfectly.
Yeah,
we just aren't doing that. A couple of notes. It was 3-3, and I don't know if all these notes are. I'm not going to go over everything. We're from the first half, but there was a third down pass. I think our first one to Garrett Wilson. I don't know what he was doing on that pattern. I don't know if you saw that.
He was like, when he dropped about 2 yards
behind he was behind the first down marker.
Yeah,
and it was just strange. And then there was another third down play where Zach Wilson, he slid a good yard before the first down marker. he's got to have a better feel for
Yeah.
where it is. He
All right.
really
I mean,
does.
as far as that goes, that was in either the first or early second quarter. And I know I heard people commenting about it, and some people said he's been, he's probably been told to do that. If that's late in the game, you need the first down, go for it. But at that point, I have no problem with it. I don't want him to get hit in the head, but yeah,
Right,
that cost them a first down probably, but I can live with that in the first half.
right. I also made a note that they had that field goal drive at the end of the second quarter, Green Bay. That's when Quinnen Williams went into the locker room because he got
Right.
poked in the eye. Ralph, they're a different team when he's not in there in the defensive line.
They are a different team, but they held up without him for a little while.
Yeah,
A lot of people played well on defense today.
yeah, they did. And a couple of other things. There was the penalty on the bench in the first half. They called a chop block on Dwayne Brown,
Yeah, that was
which
really kind of
was that
borderline.
was it wasn't even borderline, Ralph. He was on the ground
Mm,
and the guy tripped on him. It was a horrific call. And
mm.
these referees, they're driving me crazy. But anyway, it was 3-3, and we got the ball back, and it was like 3-and-out. And then I guess we got the ball again. And Ralph, why don't you describe that touchdown? I guess our first touchdown was the Braxton Barrios play.
Well, the interesting thing about it was, and that's a great play. I love Braxton Barrios. I
I
think
know
you
you
get
do.
the ball in his hands. He's so quick. Might not be the fastest guy in the league, but he's certainly one of the quickest guys in the league. He accelerates so fast, and he seems to be able to. He's good at avoiding tackles. The funny thing about that play, I don't know if you noticed it, when Wilson flipped it to him, he was bobbling it, Braxton
Right,
Barrios. So,
right.
but then what's his name? CJ Uzama made a nice downfield block, and even further down, Dwayne Brown made a nice downfield block. So good call. That play has worked really nicely for the Jets this year. And you pick your spots. And I was thinking about that play. I was thinking, their offense is so dead at this point. Do something like that, and it worked.
Right. It was and that made it 10
10-3.
10-3, and then I guess we scored again. That was the block punt, right?
That was the block punt. Will Parks, guy we've been
Will
waiting to
Parks,
see more of.
yeah, scored a touchdown, and Will Parks was burnt last week for a touchdown, but it was
Yeah,
blocked
and by the
by
way, the Jets blocked the field goal earlier, which I thought was Clemens, but you say
it was Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen
They
Williams.
showed it, and they announced, yeah, and
So either way, Michael Clemens, he had a great game though.
oh, he did have a great game. But it's funny. I told Ray, he was in the car. I said, Ray, he played great, but he's got to watch it. He's going to get called. I saw him at least once, and maybe a second time, where he was on top of a player, or I don't know if it was a running back, and he was like almost like twisting his helmet into the ground. The ref could see it. He's got to control. He's like highly charged up. He's lit and all that stuff. But
Yeah, so is the Quincy Williams, who I was so glad was back today when I saw, the guys who are not playing today, because I just felt like this is a game we need him. The Packers have very physical running backs, and he might overdo it at times, but boy, when he hits you, you go down, and he was terrific today.
Yeah, and I just going back to the first half, I just want to point out that Joyner made a good play falling on a fumble.
Yeah,
which was really nice too. So we blocked that punt, and then what was the score after that, Ralph? It was I guess
17-3.
17-3, and then is that when they scored the touchdown after that?
Green Bay scored to make 17-10. Yeah, they caught Eccles one-on-one with Alan Lazard, and
yeah,
it was a play that I think if Sauce Gardner was out there, he would have stopped it. But I'm not going to get down on Eccles. I like Eccles. I think he's a good fifth or fourth cornerback. But yeah, that was pretty much the only play that I thought the defense really got looked bad on.
A couple of things, Ralph. And then we'll go through the rest of the scoring. Today they cut Cager.
Yeah, I saw that.
And actually, I think they activated Uboa. And I think
Boa played,
Boa was in on. He did a pretty good job on one of those blocks. They said, okay,
I missed that.
yeah. So he did a pretty good job, and also Bryce Hall was not activated. I think this is like the third or fourth week in a row. His days are numbered with the Jets. And you know what? In a way, I know he had all this publicity before he got hurt, coming out of I think it was Virginia
Tech, I
Yeah,
think, or Virginia.
whatever it
I
is.
don't know,
But
one of those two.
give this coaching staff credit. They're going to play guys that are going to help them win, not on reputation. If you remember, a lot of Jet fans were upset when they cut Bless Austin in that summer. He was, I believe he started.
You were not a big fan of his.
Right. And I think they see something where they like Echols a lot better than Bryce Hall. So Bryce Hall's days are numbered. So we'll see what happens. So Ralph, they went down. The one thing I want to mention, I'm not sure exactly when it happened. I think it was when maybe it was our first field goal. But Zach was scrambling to the right and he forced the ball. But if you look close, I don't know if you saw it, and the refs missed it, he went out of bounds.
Yeah, I knew. You know, when I saw it, I turned to the guy and I said, "I think he was out of bounds when he
was
that.
out of bounds.
They never showed it."
Yeah, he was out of bounds, and even the announcer, as we enter the fourth quarter, I don't know if Ray's going to make it. Even the guy doing the color, he had mentioned that, and then we drove the ball down. I guess, right? Oh, we scored what happened next?
No, we had a nice drive and mainly Hall. It was.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah. But he scored a touchdown. I forgot that. That was in the third quarter, right?
Yeah, late third, 24-10. That was big. We basically answered the
right.
Green Bay's.
And here comes a celebrity who's coming.
Better late than never, Ray Clifford.
But we only have like Ray. We have about 8 minutes. But welcome, Ray.
What number is Ray wearing? Is that number?
Don't I look good right there? Oh,
19. Joe Flacco.
Keyshawn Johnson. I knew it's not Flacco.
It's Joe Flacco.
We have about we're going to be wrapping this up, but I just want to give you a minute or two just to put your thoughts out. We were just going through the score, and I was just up to the Breece Hall touchdown, which I skipped over, which was unbelievable. And just so you guys know, on Jets Rewind Plus on Saturday morning, I went through a 2-minute dialogue how Breece Hall is not the player this offense should be based around. It should be Garrett Wilson. So it shows you I was 100% wrong.
I think Ray and I were Breece for Breece Hall.
No doubt Breece Hall is a special player, and he's getting better. If you guys remember the first couple of weeks, he had the dropsies and he fumbled it, and now he's just getting better and better every week.
I don't think they threw him a pass today, but let's let Ray talk. I want to hear his thoughts. Yeah.
I was super excited by Breece Hall. I mean, talk about, and which got to another point when we went for on 3rd and 1 from midfield, we threw a pass instead of giving it.
I hated that call. That was
and then do nothing, and we ended up giving up the field goal to tie the game. We were all mad in the bar, but I love Breece Hall. But to me, the whole excitement and everything about that was the defense. They were just great. Right. I mean, I don't know where they're coming from, but they're rounding into shape, and they are playing ball. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. They're stopping the run. They're making, good plays for the most part in the defensive backfield. We still have our moments, but all in all, wow. I think LaFleur and Zach still need a lot of work together to get on the same page and get on going in a way that it never looks like they have a great rhythm. But boy, when you can run the ball, it makes up for a lot of mistakes and ugly things. That Breece Hall and even Michael Carter had some good runs there a couple times too. It was great.
And Ray, we were talking. I mean, do you see that for whatever reason? Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, these guys aren't getting separation.
No.
You notice
No.
that?
Well, part of it could be obviously that the defense has said, forget about Corey Davis. We need to watch this Garrett Wilson guy. And he's probably getting a little more double coverages than he was early on. I don't know what's going on with Elijah Moore because I want to see, I don't see any really trick plays, any slants, anything that he was doing last year. I haven't seen much of any of that. And I think if they can get them involved, this offense is going to be really tough to stop because, well, I sent you guys the little PFF stat thing that I don't necessarily go by analytics, but the difference in Zach when he's got a clean pocket and when he doesn't. And you could see the difference today. I mean, when they were giving him pressure, his throws are not crisp. They aren't on the money. I mean, honestly, we got lucky that he didn't get picked a couple times because he threw behind the guy and the DBs had a chance. Luckily, they didn't hang on to it. But
Ray, did you think on that long pass to Corey Davis, he should have let him? It would have been a touchdown.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because
definitely he underthrew him, and he had the time last week when he underthrew Conklin. He had a guy in his face, but he had no excuse this time.
No, he just, he was rolling out and he just flicked it down there. But if he throws that another, yard and a half, 2 yards, then Davis is catching it on the run. Now, the guy was close enough. Maybe he'd have caught him before he got to the end zone, but he'd have been down around the goal line if he got caught at all. But still, I mean, it was a good play. I'm glad they made it. It just led to good things. So
yeah, I mean, it's like the only play in like 2 weeks that they've thrown the ball deep. I don't know what he's waiting for. I'm talking about LaFleur. I don't know why he doesn't call more of those.
Air it out.
They'll just throw it out there to see if they can get a flag. Just never try
Air
that
it out.
stuff.
Make the defense think you might go
exactly.
with it. Just something. And we were talking there. I don't like when we have short yardage plays, as far as 3rd and 2 or whatever, and they go into shotgun. I think that makes it so easy on the defense to go, well, if you're going to run it, we've got an edge on you there. I like it when the quarterback's up under the center at that point. But,
yeah. And you're right, Ray. You're right on with everything. And next week it's a late game in Denver, and we have a shot to win that game also. I know you weren't happy, and neither was Ralph with LaFleur. I thought, especially the second half, that Dwayne Brown played an outstanding game. And I just want to ask you both in the 3 minutes we have left, because Ray and I spoke about it, Ralph. I'll start with you. At the end, when they couldn't kick it in for a touchdown, I wasn't that unhappy because the clock kept going down. What was your thoughts?
No, I mean, I turned to the guy next to me and I said, all right, at least they're killing time. You like to see them be able to push it in because, in future, you like to feel like you can get punching in from 1 or 2 yards out. I have no problem with that. I thought that LaFleur, I sent you guys a text. We'll see what kind of adjustments he makes. He got a little more creative in the second half, but he's got a ways to go. Wilson's got a ways to go. These receivers got a ways to go. The fact that they won this game in Green Bay pretty easily without really a very good offensive effort, that tells you something.
Yeah. Ray, what did you think? I know you told me. Just reiterate what
sorry. I just thought that, excuse me. I'm glad we got the running game going because I think that made all the difference.
Yeah.
If we had to rely on the passing game, we were in trouble. The only play that Breece Hall lost yards was the goal line, the goal line run he did when we were on the half-yard line, and he got tackled for like a 3-yard loss. Other than that, he's like the guy that we kept saying we need a third down back for a 3rd and 1 yard.
Yeah,
he's it. He always gets a yard.
I didn't like that play that they stole from Miami where they snuck
in for that.
Yeah. You got Breece Hall there. This guy's going to be a star in this league. Give him the damn ball down there. It was like that Seattle Super Bowl.
Well, we all know
Lynch. Give him the ball.
I just want to mention, and I just overlooked quickly, that the touchdown play to Breece Hall was just beautiful. The way it was going to one side and then he cut, and even the announcer said the guy in the, I guess the linebacker position, the center of field, he overran it, which is exactly what the way the play was set up. And Breece Hall, once he gets a step, that guy is like, he's solid. He's like,
he's sneaky fast. He doesn't
Yes.
look like he's moving fast, and he's running away from guys. But he has this thing where he'll just almost come to a complete stop to change direction, and
right,
just
right.
he has great vision.
He's like the guy from Pittsburgh that we signed. What was his name? The big money back that was a disaster for us a couple of years ago.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know who you mean.
My age, I can't
Get that. Yeah.
They're similar styles, but I think Hall's a little better athlete. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, listen, we're gonna close this out, and
Le'Veon Bell.
Don't go away.
Yeah.
Bell. Don't go away. I'll give you a call for Jets Rewind. It's a great victory for Jet fans as next week we go into Denver. And listen, we sometimes look at the negatives, but this was a wonderful victory. It's not every day you go into Green Bay and you win by 17 points. For Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, Marty Schupak, and Jets Rewind, until next time.